welcome to the Spooky Chris podcast. I am the aforementioned Spooky Chris. Welcome to my cave. You can find out more about me at spookychris.com. I am an author of more than 20 books, 500,000 blog posts, lots of movie reviews. I am a filmmaker, a once-in-a-while artist, and an all-around ne'er-do-well. As we crest and end 2021, I figured it'd be a good opportunity to do the fail in review. Because 2021 is, I mean, you've heard it all year long yourself, that it was kind of a sequel to 2020 and that it was just kind of more of the same. It was a lot bigger budget, more special effects sequel to 2020 with a lot of the same returning cast members with 2021, and we'll see what 2022 will bring us. Though I think, as they kind of say that, you know, water finds its level. Everything kind of finds its balance, whether it's in our favor or not. So we will see. You know, one of the interesting things for me, as I kind of found myself pulling back from the world towards the end of the year, it's weird, but in the past several years, I have gotten more and more frustrated and angry with kind of the world in general. And I mean, I'm not alone in that. I knew a lot of people that were going through the same thing. And COVID was kind of the match that lit us all on, finally on fire. And it's fascinating in a sad way, how the hard right conservatives have taken so much of the world and what's going on in the world and have treated it like it's weird how much has been distilled down into more, the bullying we faced when we were kids, where no matter what you do, you're going to be wrong. Everything can be weaponized. And it's just crazy, because as a lot of us, people like me, as I have taken to screaming on the inside, we're just bawling. Because I'm not even going to say we anymore. I'm saying we. I keep seeing the world being pulled out from underneath us. COVID didn't have to get to where we are today. It's heartbreaking how many people and people I know have lost loved ones and have lost their own health and jobs and time. I mean, the most, next to physically losing people, losing all this time. And that's what we have lost, is time. And it's crazy, because the people that won't believe in this, that don't believe in COVID, the further along we get, in 5 years, when this is, when the virus has mutated enough that it is part of everyday life, and it's already doing that. Basically, we fought it back enough that it started, okay, like it just. And that's the scary thing about viruses and things, is that, when you think in the terms of evolution, you think of, not even generations, you think of hundreds of generations until kind of things are really getting set. But viruses move so quickly that these generations are matters of hours, days. when they're mutating and morphing. It's happening so fast we can't see it, we don't know it. Man survives, mankind survives. That's one good thing, is that we have, and that's kind of nature. And it on a side note, as a parent, it does worry me in that what we put in our foods and everything, like, I wonder how safe the future generations are going to be, because our natural immunities are being stripped away. So topic for another time, but yeah, like, a time will come when we just, I mean, they're already talking about it, that it is here, it's not going anywhere. We will live in a world where it is just here, and you get COVID, like, oh yeah, I've got C19. Oh man, like, yeah, I'm gonna be out of work for a couple days. No big deal. I'm gonna take a over-the-counter antibiotic, whatever. Like, we will survive, but at the cost of a million lives, plus millions of lives in the end. We get to be the generation that were holding the gates as the enemy rushed to them. And it's weird, because you reach a point where there are certain people in this world and you just want to shake them, and that's where this screaming and crying come in, is you want to shake them, say, what's it going to take? What does it take for you to care, to actually care about someone that isn't you, to care about someone that isn't of your color, skin color, religion, belief, economic background? What does it take? And even if you don't care about them for their own sake, because they are entitled to the same breath of air that you are, when will you care about yourself enough to do something, to help, to fight back? And we are just at a point where we have a nation of people fiddling while the world burns. That President Trump has gotten away with what he has gotten away with. That the insurrection happened, and in the end, nothing, like, the people that did it, that caused the monetary, the physical, the emotional damage, they're going to get, I mean, a handful will get jail time, the rest will get slaps on the wrist, and the rest of them will disappear into the fabric. Still pulling at things, and they don't even, what's crazy with them, they want a revolution, but they don't know from what to what. It's funny, because they're the worker bees serving a quote-unquote queen that doesn't care. They were all cannon fodder for Trump, because all Trump wanted was his ego served. He wanted someone to break a system for him, to tell him he's pretty. And that's what this was about. And it's crazy. And it's crazy too, because left, right, middle, I don't care. There's a point where you have to call something what it is. And to think that people are so tied to their political system, which has become a religion. Let's not mince words there. Politics is religion now. Christianity has been perverted into hard right politics, and they're using Jesus as their battering ram, that if you oppose them, well, you're not a Christian, you're not an American, you don't believe in America, you're a socialist, you're a communist, which were code words for atheism and mongralism and deviance and aberrance, and anything un-American. This notion that Jesus loves America and no one and nowhere else, and it's only through America that Jesus will move, is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We have stolen the icon for a whole religion, and we have locked him in a cage, and are charging money to see him. Is kind of we treated Jesus like a circus sideshow freak, and it's crazy. You are seeing all of these, and it's crazy too because all of these people that in other years and other times, like, politics is what it is. It's a joke. It's a scam. It's a bunch of people wanting to get rich in the back room as they're trying to move the world forward, and they move an inch forward and for the left or the right, and then a few inches to the side, and they all line their pockets. It's not like you see any poor people. Even if they went in poor, they don't leave poor, because the rest of their lives they have health care, they have security, they can go on speaking tours, they can get all manner of things that you and I could never get. It is what it is. It's the tertiary joys of doing this. But back in the day, there was a kind of a nod and a wink where they hated each other on the floor, but they could kind of get along otherwise because they all knew they were doing their jobs. Now it's literal hate and threats, and you see people like I'm not even gonna name their names because they're not worth it. These nothings, radicals, who, and what's funny because we have one locally that unless they get rid of him politically, he will just fester and move on. And because they speak to a small portion of people, and because they and a lot of it is Jesus and guns. What is it about Jesus and guns? Someone who used violence as a warning, kind of there are consequences, but not as an offensive weapon. But why has he become the invisible spokesperson for these people that love guns more than they love other people, more than they love the idea of life? These are people who literally want to kill someone, and it's like, all right, go join the army, go do something where you get to go do that legally. Go be another sociopath with a badge. But what they want is, it's weird because the Republican Party has become a party, it's a cult. And these are all these people that are cult leaders, and they are just raking in so much money because they strap a gun to their hip, and it's funny that, and you kind of could see it coming with Sarah Palin, is these they're using women that are appealing to these guys that are, their rifle is their member, and these women that are like tough, and they're all about Jesus and family and guns, and they're playing these guys because it's kind of like, oh yeah, this hot chick likes guns, yeah, tell them. And they're saying they're inciting mobs, and they're not, it's kind of like directing people to do things without getting your hands bloody. And I've gotten a little off the track, but this is where we are with COVID, is that we can't. I saw a sign not that long ago. Small little sign in someone's yard in a rural or like community. It said, "Unmask our kids." As someone whose infant daughter, before she was 1 year old, had COVID, and again, the little kids, what are you gonna do? I mean, we can't even get her to keep her socks on, so I get it. But they act as if this is the most horrifying thing you can do to a child. Is making them wear a mask. Is basically saying, I love you enough to want you to be safe. I'm willing to let you be uncomfortable, as I am uncomfortable, because we all, most of us that are real live adults have worn these and not liked it, but you wear them because you have to do what you have to do to keep your people safe. But that's where we're at, is at every turn. Vaccines. Oh, you're trying to fill us with evil things and computer programs, track us. Like, just crazy. Like, conspiracy has become the commonplace, And it's because we've distracted ourselves so much, because we're all so stressed and so desperate to connect, and we don't know how anymore. We use apps and programs, and we can't connect. And now with COVID, it made it even harder. I know for years I've hated talking on the phone. Part is because that's my job, is I'm just answering phones. But I hate it, and we're so disconnected. It's easy to be cruel to one another. We forget the people in our, because we have circles, in our lives, like the family, friends, significant other, and they go outwards to acquaintances, and then people and then whatever. And we forget so many people. People we laughed with, people we shared things with, and we willingly let them go. And sometimes we have to, because there's just not enough room in our lives. But so many people we just push away. And that's what we've done. And so we're all so distracted. And we're all looking, and I am no better. Phones and distraction is kind of like, my dad with cigarettes. As he always said, it was hard for him to quit, if nothing else, because he needed something in his hand. When he was just standing around. You're standing around waiting, you pull a phone out, and you're looking through stuff. I'm thinking all the time, so I don't want to stand there and just stare off into the distance and think even more. Like, my head's full of enough cacophony. That distraction helps, and distraction's not always bad. But this distraction, we are letting people have our ear who don't deserve it. There's something called PragerU, which is a fake online university that is this conservative university that is teaching conservative values. But it's basically, it's a scam. It's a scam trying to teach the same crazy stuff that allowed Donald Trump to get to power. And it's all, that kind of stuff is a pyramid scheme. It's a fake university surrounded by fake nonprofits that are trying to teach young people American conservative values and oh gosh, heroic values and patriotic. And they use all these buzzwords. That's like, oh, well, yeah, I'd want my kid to be patriotic and heroic, and I want him to be a true American. They use these buzzwords and these side things that, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Like, I'd want my child, and they're like, you want to be a real American, you want America, you miss America of old. And they that's why they play to this fictional Leave It to Beaver 50s idea. Oh, America, where families had homes and mothers and fathers were present, and their dad worked and mom was able to stay home with the kids, and we all had a great time. Except they leave out the fact that black people weren't invited. Other people of color weren't invited. No one of differing sexuality. The women weren't allowed to do anything that their husbands didn't approve of. It's this weird thing. Where they use the buzzwords to get you all jazzed, but they don't tell you what's behind the buzzword. They don't tell you the reality behind the image. What's behind the 50s. The 80s. Oh, God, I love the 80s. 80s were great, blah, blah. Yeah, cool music, colorful clothes, interesting movies, blah, blah, blah. Except Reagan kind of blew off AIDS, and it kind of caught fire and became what it did. People were, there were whole, it was a whole bunch of financial people who were just bleeding Americans dry with stocks and with all of these business like scams. It was all artificiality, and everything's, every decade you can sum up and, oh, well, that one sucked too, but everything is great and awful at the same time. That's life. That's the joy, is there is no happiness without misery. The hope is that you find a balance between the two, and you kind of ride it out. You hope. I'm hoping for balance someday. Um, but they sell you all of these lies, and we're happy to listen to them because they have great videos. They have celebrities behind them. They have musicians, and it's not, it's not as if the the Democrats are any different. They're just not as blatantly creepy and vile. Because you have the fringe on either side, and if with anything, you have the fringe on either side. It's just the the right wing at this moment in time isn't even dangerous. Isn't even the right word. The fact again that you can look at January 6th in America, and you are either someone who believes that was a day of evil in America or a day of triumph, or triumph averted, whatever you want to say. And that's kind of where you come down. It's weird that we've lost so many friends and stuff to COVID, to politics, and it's a bummer. But the fact is that those are core beliefs like safety, and freedom. And if I can't agree with you on those two things, you and I liking a movie or two in common don't mean nothing. You and I having some genes in common don't mean nothing. If you don't believe a woman, there's stuff like the abortion debate, which is always fun that men get to debate things that we should have a voice in. If it is your child, you should have a voice in what happens. But that men that are not involved get to decide these things for women is just it's something else. But all of these topics, you can talk and debate the abortion topic, absolutely. But there may become a point where it's like, well, you know what, like, this is a core belief for me, and we just ain't gonna see eye to eye on it, and I got to go. Hey, that's the way of the world. It is what it is. And this year's been rough. And like I say, it's hard not to want to scream. When all I want is to keep myself and my family safe. It's weird to think when my daughter's 20, she'll be a part of that generation. It's like, oh yeah, I had COVID as a kid. Oh, you did? Like my mother had polio as a kid. It's just one of those things when you're part of a generation or something that's, like, oh, wow, did you survived and that's great. And oh, I lost my uncle to that. This generation is going to, in the future, it's going to be like, yeah, like, I can't believe, our families went through COVID, and yeah, my family had it. Oh my gosh, it's great, that you survived. It's like, yeah, we lost this person, that person, whatever. My parents lost a friend, whatever, whatever it is. It's weird. It's weird that, as I've said a million times, we're living in history. As welcome to the real world. We're always living in history, but like the things that we're seeing, that this modern America has created the monster of Trump, who won't go away, because he is so sick, and he is an addict, and we have fed him, and we continue to feed him. He will not go away. Because he is so desperate for attention, and he got a hit off of the global stage. Like, he was always famous, he was always rich, he was always whatever, but he got that power, the real power, and he won't let it go. He still likes to pretend that he is the current president, and you don't have to like Joe Biden, you don't have to believe in what he believes, but you can at least look at him and say, you know what, he gives off the air of a leader. Trump never did. And I get that people are like, he was my leader because he spoke like me. Maybe that's why you're not the leader. Maybe that's why I'm not the leader. It's because I don't speak like someone that should speak to world leaders. I don't speak like someone that should tell other governments to back down, or else. I can't, I can't hold my temper that great. So I'm probably not the guy for it. Maybe that's why we have people that represent us, and that we're not up there, because we're idiots and we road rage at one another because for one split second somebody pulled in front of you, or took a parking spot, or looked at you strange, or glanced at your girlfriend. Maybe there's a reason most of us are just trying to live our best lives and trying to get famous on the socials and not leading. Call me crazy. So it's, I mean, to say it's been a bad year, a hard year, is to bury the lead. Things will get better, at least with COVID, because again, it's gonna work itself to a point where we're just gonna be able to survive it. It's just weird that, and I'm trying to think of a way, you know, I can't think of an easy way to kind of relay this, but it's weird that, you know, bit by bit, like, you know, the circle got closer and closer, like, oh wow, all those people have COVID, oh wow, you know, people in our state have COVID, oh wow, like, and then we had COVID, and now so many people we know have had COVID, and it starts hitting the people that, you know, we're safe and everything, but the fact is that you can't be safe enough. There's just not any way. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't have masked, you shouldn't mask, you shouldn't, you know, be safe in how you conduct your business, and maybe avoid big shows, blah blah blah. Because maybe, you know, I was told the other day a story of someone who caught it and then a couple days later died of COVID and didn't seem to have any health issues. That's the thing with COVID, is it's a weird little like thing where it finds cracks in kind of your base, and it tears away at it. You know, I talked at great length before about having it, and it was the sickest I've ever been. This has been the worst 6 months of my life. Part 2. When I lost my mom, that was the first worst 6 months. This is probably more concentrated, worse, and the COVID is part of that. But the good thing is, and I appreciate if you're still there, listener. I don't expect you to be, but I appreciate it. The good thing is that this year wasn't all bad, as it were. I know for me, there's some great records that came out. There's some great movies that came out. It's going to be interesting seeing the art that comes out of this era. You know, the movements, you know, how the kids of today form from this world is going to be interesting. You know, we'll see what happens with our daughter. Like, it's going to be fascinating. For music, it's weird to say, but I have kind of like, there's 2 records of the year for me. Like, the record of the year for me is, it comes from a called Knocked Loose. It was an EP, and it's a tear in the fabric of life, I think is what it's called. And it is not going to be 99% of anybody, whoever would hear my voice, their cup of tea. It's very aggressive music, but it's great. It is an EP. It is one story. They even basically did it as a short film, and then they released an EP of the music. And it's a short film just told with image, and it is the story of losing someone, and trying to get them back from death, and it's great. It is brutal and great. And it's funny because the other album of the year for me is Olivia Rodrigo's album, which was great. Again, it is weird. I listened to it again the other day when I was driving around with my daughter, and it is weird how, and it's a catharsis, because except for one song, they're all pretty much about probably one person. So it is weird, and it feels almost wrong because it's so intimate, but like, it's not fair to judge anybody. You know, like, all music at its, you know, the most powerful music is the most personal. So, you know, it's a heck of a record, though. It's a great record. The new Billie Eilish is good. I liked the last one better, but it's still good. There's a band that came out with the singer from the old singer from Sepultura. called Go Ahead and Die, and it's so lo-fi, stripped down, like hardcore punk. It's great, but that's Truck Full of Bodies is the first single. I think it's just called Go Ahead and Die. There's a new record from God's Hate. That's good. That's old school hardcore. The new record from Enforced was really good. You can tell kind of what I listen to. I know that there's tons of other stuff that came out. That's just the stuff that I heard and can just say that really moved me, as it were. The biggest disappointment movie-wise for me that I can think of was probably Army of the Dead. Zack Snyder had been working on this for a minute, and it's a great idea, and you see it, and it was cool to see such a big zombie movie, and it's got a great idea. It just fell flat, and it said nothing really in the end. It says something, that the offshoot film, that's like a prequel, is better. The Justice League longer cut is interesting. I like it. Actually, have been in the middle of rewatching it. It's fascinating. I think it would have played, and I get why he did how he did it, but it would have played better as a short series, kind of like how Marvel's doing. And we're at a point almost where you could do something like that with these big giant actors. But once you get into the mother box stuff and the why of it all, I think that to me is the problem. It's gobbledygook. It doesn't make a lot of sense. For Marvel, Thanos made sense. Darkseid, the main villain here, can make sense. It's just once you get into the why of it all, it's just gobbledygook, and they never explained it well. And it's just kind of a mishmash. Is it a better film than the one that came out theatrically? Yeah, I like it better. There's a lot more to it. If you liked it to begin with, there's a lot more to like. It's a better film. It's a fun movie. You definitely feel the length. Which alternatively, like Suicide Squad from James Gunn, was amazing. One of the best movies of the year. Absolutely, hands down, fantastic. Like the kind of movie you wish you could see in the theater in another world, because it was just absolutely front to back, just fantastic and amazing. Just super fun. The surprise for me was the Fear Street trilogy, and it's weird seeing seeing a couple best of the year lists, and I haven't seen it mentioned. And you can't. To me, they're all kind of, it's because same directors, same cast, it's the same kind of story, so they're all kind of, it's one big long movie. Those were hands down the best horror film of the year, absolutely. They were fun, they were gory, they were scary, they said something, they meant something, they were funny, they had great characters. That's the kind of stuff that we love in horror. It was a kind of a modern version of a Scream, really, but absolutely great. Candyman was fantastic. I didn't love aspects of the ending, but it was great what they did with it. They made a better film than the original, which is crazy to think, but they and the things they did with it are just amazing. I'm trying to think, because there was a big list of, I was trying to look at the list, and there's a bunch of movies I saw that's the bummer, is I see a bunch of movies that people rave about and oh, this is great and that's great, and that's just don't say anything to me. I've seen almost 300 movies, and I just didn't want to bring a list down and list off that's good, that's good, that's not good, that's not good, that's good. But those are some of them that stand out to me. Again, there's obviously going to be more that I will. Yeah, Shang-Chi was good. That was enjoyable. The Marvel shows this year have been fantastic. Just absolutely knocked it out of the park with the Marvel shows. Raya in the Last Dragon? The anime film Raya was great. Luca was really good. There was a lot of really great films that came out. For anybody, for young to old, really really great stuff. That's one of the fun things, is that there is some great stuff being made. The Tomorrow War on Prime is a fun movie. It's a throwaway, but it's fun. It's an absolutely fun watch, and there's a lot of that stuff out there. You just kind of got to know what you're looking for. that kind of stuff it's whatever gets you through sometimes. And this has been a hard road, let's face it. And if you found music that moved you, that just helped you get the anger out, or gave you joy, then awesome. If you found music that really, or movies that just made you laugh or cry or freaked you out, like awesome. Books. I haven't got, since we had the kiddo, I haven't gotten a chance to really read anything. Oh God, Godzilla versus King Kong was great. Way better than I hoped. Again, there's a ton of movies that I'm forgetting, but that one just popped up just because I was thinking, like, oh yeah, But if you find things that just give you joy, then great. Our little band of merrymakers had one live event, and it didn't go as well as I would have hoped, but like it was good to see people. It's nice to see people sometimes. I really, as much as I've drawn away from the world, I do miss people. But hopefully in the future, the life's going to change, and if you want to see people, if you want to be around them, you can, safely. And we'll see what the year 2022 brings. We're all going to bring our baggage. We're all going to have our it's to me, resolutions are great because it gives you goals. It's for goals, and the goals are never bad. It's what you do with them and how much pressure you put on yourself with them, and that's what it's about. Is if you don't lose 10 pounds but you got to working out again, it's still a success. If you wrote that book you wanted to write, it's or started it or started to work on it, whatever. It may not be published, but it's still you still did some work. You started it. Sometimes we need to be a little more patient with ourselves, because we're all works in progress, and we're just trying to find our way, and we make mistakes all the time. Every day we screw up, and the best we can do is surround ourselves with people that understand that and support us just the same. So friend, if you want to know more about me, I am Chris Ringler. This is the Spooky Chris podcast. I appreciate your listening. All maybe have a half a person of you. I hope you had a great year and survived. That's sometimes the best you can hope for. I have a ton of books out. Go do me a favor and buy one. SpookyChris.com. You can find all my blogs, all my reviews. I have a ton of movie reviews, and stories, blogs, and you can find links to my books. Take care of yourself. I hope 2021 was rewarding in some way, and I will see you in 2022.